Hey everyone. So we're gonna let people file in, and then we're gonna get started at 1:01 on the nose. All right, so as people file in, we're just gonna give everyone a minute to get into the meeting, and then we'll start at 1:01. All right, that's 1:01. So we'll go ahead and get started. So hey everyone, thank you for coming to the Paperless Preview today. We're going to be talking about how Paperless Parts makes it easy for OEMs to buy from you. OEMs like John Deere, Caterpillar, Boeing, those are the sort. I'm Dana Wensberg. I'm a software engineer here. I've been with the company almost 7 years. I'm really excited to talk through this with you guys. Alrighty, so agenda, pretty simple. We're going to go over some high-level slide stuff, and then we'll get right into the meat of it. I'll promise I'll get into the demo as quickly as I can. So top 3 reasons why OEMs love working with shops that have paperless parts. Well, the big one is they get their quotes back quickly and without mistakes. At the end of the day, that's what most buyers want the most: fast quotes with pricing and lead times that they know the shop can honor. The second one is security and compliance. So I'm going to talk more about this, but Paperless Parts has dotted all their I's and crossed all their T's in terms of making sure your data is safe, and we're holding ourselves to the highest security compliance standards out there. So that's reason 2. And then the third one is collaborative design review. So Paperless Parts offers a suite of tools that allow you to offer design review and consultation earlier in the quote stage through a secure fashion. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. So a few key ingredients to accomplish the things I spoke about on the last slide is Paperless Parts has a FedRAMP moderate equivalency, and we're built on top of AWS GovCloud. So that means that we held ourselves to the highest security and compliance standards to those of the people that work directly with the Department of Defense. So we are very serious about security, and we want to make sure that our customers get to reap the rewards of that, which is working with large OEMs. We offer best-in-class quote setup features to manage complex quote packages. So oftentimes from OEMs, you're getting your biggest assemblies, your highest number of line items, the highest number of files, the most complex files. We offer a suite of tools that allow you to manage all that information as it comes into your IT ecosystem, and get started estimating really, really quickly. We also have a modern, clean, and clear digital quote that makes your shop stand out. It's going to create a really modern and nice experience for your buyer, and set you apart from the rest. We also offer customizable quote exports. So a lot of OEMs will require you to have OEM-specific formats where you have to break out a lot of different details of your quote. You can export that information automatically from Paperless into pretty much any format you want. We'll look at that today. We offer secure external collaboration directly on technical files associated with quotes, which allow you to have those collaborative experiences with buyers, offer things like design reviews and process consultation. So cool. Now we're going to get into the demo, and the demo is going to start where the quote would start for our customers, right? So 9 times out of 10, a quote is starting from an email. And we can see here in this email, we've got a table of information, and we've got a whole bunch of part files attached. So the way you start quotes in Paperless is you actually forward them to directly to your account. What I've done is I've set up a contact for that email address that'll be unique to each of your implementations. And when I send this, what is going to happen is Paperless Parts is then going to analyze the body of the email. It's going to loop through all of those attachments, and it's going to get your quote set up and get you rocking and rolling to start estimating really, really quickly. Usually takes about a minute for the system to process this number of files and this type of email. But what we're going to see on the other side is Paperless Parts AI suggestions helping you work through larger quote packages like this. So if I check my inbox, okay, we can say here, boom, we've got a new quote created from quote forwarding. So when I click this is going to pull me into the Paperless Parts platform. And we're going to see a few things configured by default for us. So if we scroll down, we can see things like the RFQ receive date and the contact have been automatically populated because we're pulling that information from the email. And when we scroll down, we can look at this quote files container, and we'll see all of those attachments, as well as the original like email EML file. Also works for MSG files if you're using Outlook, right in our sort of staging area for the quote. And this is where you'll be able to drag and drop all of the technical information for a quote and sort of operate from here. I'd like to draw your attention to this bulk create line items button. So this purple sparkle here is an indication that Paperless Parts has some AI suggestions for you. And what we can see when we open this up is that we've actually parsed the body of that email and broken that table down into a table that you can use to configure line items. So let's pop open that email file so you can view the email file natively in Paperless. And we can see we've got a table of part numbers, revisions, descriptions, and quantities. And we were able to pull that in directly without needing to type in any of this information. So that's really great to get us started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click Create Line Items. And that's going to generate a skeleton for those 40 line items on our left panel. You can see them flowing in now. And now we're seeing another little flash of purple, which again means AI suggestions, where we have files that are suggested to be matched to existing line items. So what's happening here is we're looking at the files, the file names here, and the part numbers in the line items, and suggesting that they should be mapped to each other. So when I click this add to line items, that's going to throw over all of those matching files directly into the individual line items. So as we see that update finishing now, we can see now we've got thumbnails and we've got supporting files associated with each of these line items. And if we scroll down, we can see those line items are present in our quote with the quantities that we saw in that table. You can see here that we've got one supporting file that seems to have not found a home. It looks like this part number 0003. The file is named just a little bit inconsistently with the others. No big deal. All you need to do is just drag this onto that line item and add it as a supporting file. So all of the moving around of files is all drag and drop. So this is what I just walked through is sort of a suite of tools that allow you to manage lots of files, large quote packages really, really quickly and easily using Paperless Parts. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of skip ahead to the end of the workflow where you're actually going to be communicating this quote back to your customer. So what I'm going to do really quickly is just assign a process and material to the first three files here. And I won't get into this too detailed, but a process is effectively a intelligent template of material requirements and routing steps. So when you apply a process to a part, it's going to pull in things like, what material do I need? What routing steps, like programming, my mill, my deburr, and it'll be able to look at aspects of the geometry to help estimate those different pieces of your router. So when I do that, that'll pull in sort of your default cost and price. We can talk a little bit more about that in the questions, but I don't want to focus on that for right now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some expedites. So expedites are a cool feature of Paperless where you essentially can just apply a markup for a faster lead time. And you'll see why I'm doing this in a sec. But if you were to share this quote with your buyer, let's say we like it, looks good. They would get a digital format of the quote. And when I click preview, we're going to be able to see what our customer would see. So again, this is our digital quote. And when we open it up, we can see what our customer would be seeing. So you get the thumbnail of the part, you get all of your different quantity, lead time, and unit price options for each of the line items broken out in a very clear manner. You can even view the files in 3D directly on the quote, the digital quote. I've heard tons of stories from our customers about how their customers love being able to like see the information on the quote. I've actually got a couple of anecdotes around, hey, because I can see the viewer on your quote, I think I sent you the wrong files, and if no one wants to be making the wrong parts. So this just clearly breaks out and clearly and concisely communicates things. And on top of this, the user, the buyer can go through and select which items they want and proceed through with like an Amazon style checkout. So it's pretty cool to be able to offer, a pretty varsity and interface for your customers to work with the quotes that you send them. But sometimes we know that OEMs are a little bit more annoying, and they'll require more than just a unit price and a lead time. So a lot of OEMs that our customers sell into require really tedious breakouts of labor, material, and tooling costs in an OEM-specific format. So before Paperless Parts, what our customers were doing were they were, taking all of those numbers manually out of the system they were using for quoting and manually typing it into an Excel format to send to the customer. But because all of these values exist within Paperless, we can hook you up with actually an export. So we've got one for an off-the-shelf export for John Deere. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and actually set up a quote and filled out an estimated parts for a John Deere part here. And we can see it's a pretty simple welded sheet metal assembly. It's got about 5 or 6 manufactured components, and these components underneath them have their own material requirements and routers, lasers and forming steps. So what we can do is we can build an export for a specific customer for your account, and that will look something like this. So all you need to do is type in your quote number, select the export type you want, and click submit. And when you do that, it's going to hit our open API, fetch all those numbers, and then input it into whatever format we decided on. So that Excel sheet was just generated, and it looks like this. So I don't know if anyone in the crowd has ever worked with John Deere, but this is at least what their most up-to-date version of what they expect from their customers to look like, where it's incredibly detail-oriented. You've got to type in numbers galore here. I don't even want to think about how long it would take for me to input this for, a 10-line item quote, let alone a 100-line item quote. But you can see here, all this information is populating automatically, like the cost breakdowns for different material requirements, different labor steps, what your markups look like. And this, again, this information was populated automatically. So with a tool like this, you're no longer wasting time manually and putting this into Excel formats. So just to review quickly what I showed you, a couple of quote setup tools and the ability to share your quote digitally and also export it to specific formats. And these together are going to allow you to turn these quotes around wicked fast and enable you to handle pretty much anything that the OEM is going to send your way in terms of file packages. And just to sort of close the loop with some customer testimonial about the things I just showed you. So Waltz Bros, a longtime customer, they say, our improved turnaround time has helped us get new work and retain existing work. I've had at least 3 customers tell me they're so impressed by the quotes we send out and so happy at how quickly we turn them around. Metal FX, another longtime customer, in the very early days of implementing Paperless, we sent a quote to one of our biggest customers. Then a few days later, we had to do an old style quote. They immediately responded and said, I don't ever want to see one of these again. If it's not like the new one, don't send it to me. So our customers get a ton of value out of the tools that I just showed you. And it's apparent in the way their buyers communicate to them after quoting and winning orders. So the next thing, going to move on. Next thing I want to show you is secure communication for design review within the platform. So let's go back to that initial quote that we were on. And let's dive into that first line item here. So let's say that there might be something a little bit funky about this part here. So I'm going to open this up in the Paperless Parts viewer. And natively within Paperless Parts, you can view pretty much any type of CAD file under the sun, step, proprietary, and any 2D drawing. And we offer a lot of manufacturability warning detection out of the box. So here we've got some uncut faces. And if we zoom in on this, we can see we actually can't make this feature because there's no rad here. So what I'm actually going to do is I want to communicate with my buyer that this is a problem. So I'm going to create an external chat called Design Review. I'm going to invite Elon Musk to the chat, and I'm going to say, and you can manage the permissions of what they're allowed to do here. So I'm going to allow them to upload, and I'm going to allow them to access all files, because I'm going to suggest for them to upload a design review for me because I can't actually make this part. I'm going to go ahead and start the chat. And within the chat, it's going to work very similarly to like a Microsoft Teams or a Slack or any type of messaging app. And what you can do is annotate the features that you've highlighted in the part and say, hey, Elon, we need a rad here to be able to machine this. Can we get a design change? And so what this is going to do is it's going to invite Elon to collaborate specifically on this file in his own Paperless Parts account. So we make the setup flow really easy. So it's just a couple of clicks and adding a password. And when they collaborate on this, they can't see anything that has to do with your account or your quote. You're only sharing them explicitly this file and the files associated with this part. So luckily enough, I've got Elon's account opened up in another browser. So I'm going to go ahead and open this. So again, I'm acting as Elon now. So I can see that, oh, I just got this message here. And when I click this, it'll bring me exactly to the view that you made, where I made over here on the left as the job shop when I made the comment. So this allows for extremely quick and in context communication about the design. So just like any other messaging app, I can respond and be like, hey, Dana, didn't see this. I'll get the design review process started right away. And as you can see, when I posted that message as Elon, it came in the other account, and you can communicate back and forth. You can do this on any number of files within a quote, and at any time, depending on what permissions you've configured for the share recipient, they can upload new files and always send messages that you'll be getting notifications for as you go. And the ability to tag information works in both ways. So you can see we've got a similar rad issue here. So Elon can go ahead and annotate these faces and say, hey, we've got this same issue here. And then that'll pop up in this side. And when I select those selections, you can see I get brought to the same view. So just a really nifty little tool for communicating back and forth with your customer to be able to offer that next level design advice. And just, some testimonial from one of our customers that, one of the things I struggled with before Paperless was collaborating with our buyers. We would come up with a concept for someone, and I had no easy way of sharing it with them. Securely sharing any file type with our customer, showing them what it will look like, how you're quoting it, makes that collaboration so much easier. So we found that this is really a way for our customers to help themselves stand out and get that competitive edge and be the true manufacturing partner that OEMs nowadays really require. So let's talk about what I just showed you. So I showed you some quote setup features to get things going really fast, enabling you to handle a really large breadth of files that you receive from an OEM. I showed you our digital quote and our custom quote export formats, and I showed you how to securely collaborate on files within the part viewer. These make OEMs love working with you because it enables you to get their quotes back quickly and without mistakes. You're presenting the information they require in a very clear and easy to understand way by meeting them where they're at. And you're able to provide invaluable design and process consultation using the utmost security early in the quoting lifecycle. All these things combined can help really give you a competitive edge. So there's a ton of things that we didn't show today There's a lot of other things that our software can do in terms of helping your business, win more work, make fewer mistakes, and future-proofing your front office. Some things I left out were some of the automation from CAD, talking about ERP integrations. There's a ton of other stuff that I didn't review, but I wanted to keep it direct. So at this point, I'd love to open it up for questions. Feel free to post it into the Q&A in the webinar, and I'll be happy to be on standby to answer. Not seeing any questions get thrown. There we go. Cool. So Ali asks, I heard you mention something about deburring. Do you need to upload CAM software for this to work? No, absolutely not. So when I brought up deburring, that's the way processes get configured is essentially you have a template of routing steps. And deburring is often something that happens that you need to do, after you machine a part. So we come up with ways to estimate this for you by looking at things like, surface area of the part, unique features of the part, how many holes and pockets you need to machine, and we'll come up with an estimate that way. So you don't need to associate this with any type of CAM software or upload it. So Philip asked, do you offer integration with ProShop? Yes, we do. So our system plays really nice with ProShop. We've got, at least I'd venture a guess over 24 customers that are up and running and happy with the ProShop integration. We've got a lot of customers in common. So yes, we definitely offer integration with ProShop. For Brandon, do we offer integration with JobBoss? Yes, every form of it. JobBoss on-prem, JobBoss squared, all these things. Integration with Vista by Epicor. We have an Epicor integration. I believe Epicor 10, Epicor Kinetic, Epicor 11. I haven't heard of Vista. Maybe that's a specific module on Epicor, but we deal with new, ERP integrations all the time. We have a services team that is specifically equipped to help scope out custom projects. So that's something we would love to talk about. Have you integrated with M1? Yes, we have. M1 is, so we've integrated with all the entire suite of the ECI products, and M1 it being one of those. Ashley, what CRMs do you integrate with? So we've done integrations with Salesforce and HubSpot, and we can discuss any type of, custom integration that may need to be happening with our services team. Jonathan, I'll get to your question in a sec. Just want to bang out some of these easier ones. Do you have the ability to nest sheet metal? Yes, we do. So you can do both single component nesting and multi-component shared nesting. That is a tool that a lot of our customers are using. And you can specify things like grain direction and all the bells and whistles, and it will integrate automatically into the BOM and router of however many line items that you've configured together. And we've got a ton of content on that, Ian. So if you'd like to see a demo or a video more specifically, just shoot me an email or respond in the survey, and we'll be sure to get you that resource. So Jonathan asks, how does the software determine time estimated for programming, machining, and such? So this is part of the fun part of going through implementation with Paperless. So when you get onboarded, you will be given a onboarding team, and one of the members of that team will be a technical implementation specialist. This is the person that is going to be responsible for configuring your cost and price formulas to, get to costs and prices for parts that you like. So for machine parts, things like programming, machine time, deburring, all factor into the cost. And we'll approach estimating these sort of on a case-by-case basis. But mostly we are looking at things like unique feature count, how many holes are there, how many pockets are there, how much volume is being removed. and things of that nature. And we'll work with your team during onboarding to essentially compare those to quotes you parted in the past to get things to line up as best we can. We have a ton of, we're working on a ton of stuff right now in terms of machine time estimation. So Jonathan, if you want to hear more detailed about that, I'd love to share some resources with you, you know, either offline in videos or get you in touch with someone on our sales or product team. So any other questions flying in? I think I got all of them so far. But yeah, any more questions, feel free to sling them in the chat or the Q&A.